Welcome, everybody. Again, congratulations for reaching this stage. Very well deserved, and I hope you are excited for this next phase. 1 second, someone is joining. Today the info session is going to be really full of content. It's going to be divided into two parts, the technical part and then the financial one. It's quite a lot of information, but I think it's very useful to have this overview. The idea is that if you have any questions, we would suggest to leave it and write it into the chat so everybody can see it. We will address possibly the main and the quickest questions, and then we will collect in any case all of your questions and pass it to the Best Life coordinator, because they will issue a very complete document to be published on the website with the doubts and questions from all the regions from Best Life. So this is a bit the idea. You will see that it's quite a lot of slides, so we will try to stick with the timing. And in any case, you can come back to us afterwards for any questions. We will be fully available during this preparation phase. So I will leave the floor to Lucia, my colleague, to present the first part, so the technical part, and then we will pass on to the finance part. Can you see the screen, correct? Can everybody see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Please, Lucia.
Yes. Sorry, I was putting my mic on. So I am going to present the technical aspects of this new phase, and this is the agenda. So we will be going through introduction, the narrative section of the platform. The number 2 is the logical framework and monitoring plan, safeguards, then the submission and the evaluation. So we will go through it little by little. You will see screenshots. So I'm advising you already. You will see screenshots of the platform that is not already finally put in place, but you will receive a notification on your email account where you are invited to prepare your project in the platform. So here you have a small summary of the different deadlines established for this new phase. As you know, you received all the notification letters in March. The dates have changed because, as you know, we had a little bit of delay since this is our first call. But you have the same time to prepare your final phase. On 10th May, it is the deadline for sending us clarifications that you need so that we have the time to answer them to you. Even though Bea and I will still be available through email exchange for anything you need. 3rd June, submission deadline for your proposals. 1st August, which is provisional date, but this is the established date for the moment for the result notification. And in September, you will be signing to the ones that pass this final phase. It's time to have your contract signed. So moving into the second stage, it's crucial to develop and refine your proposals. You have to remember to go over the guidelines for applicants once more to ensure you're on the right track. So please go back to that document. Take note of any recommendations mentioned in your notification letter, and please incorporate them into your full proposal. If you have any doubts regarding these comments, also you can get back to us. And it's all about refining and improving your ideas to make them the best they can be. And of course, when you're ready to submit, head over the BestLife2030 portal at the link that you have here, speciesgrant.iucn.org, and make sure to complete all the sections online. Don't forget to upload any necessary documents, and remember saving your progress at each stage to avoid any issues or missing information. Before hitting that submit button, double check all your entries, documents to ensure everything is in order, because please bear in mind that once submitted, applications can no longer be modified and no additional documents can be attached. So it's crucial to review everything before hitting that submit button, because we had a few candidates during the concept note that weren't able to upload all the documents in the platform and send them by email after the deadline. This will not be accepted. Okay, so please make sure you save all the information and take into account that once you submit, the application can no longer be modified. And of course, once again, congratulations for your pre-selection.
And Lucia, just to add, really don't wait until the very last minutes of the deadline, even the last day. We strongly recommend at least to submit as soon as you can. Of course, you will need time to produce a good quality proposal, so don't submit next week. But yeah, don't wait at the very latest moment, because we had a couple of cases in which it was very it was done at the latest minute, actually. So and then they had some problems with the platform, or in any case with IT systems. You never know. So we strongly recommend this, please.
Thank you, Bea. So this is the first screenshot that you will see in the portal access. So once you're granted access to the portal, you receive a notification. When that happens, you have to head over Species Grants IUC and calls, log in using your current username and password, the same that you used during your concept note phase, and simply follow the steps outlined on this slide, which is go to calls, go to BestLife first call for proposals, and then when you click on apply, you'll see an applicant declaration pop-up. So once you confirm the terms there, you'll gain access to the proposal submission interface that you're already familiar with. It's simple. It's a simple process, just a couple of clicks, and you're ready to go. So you accept the declaration, and you will have access to the full proposal phase. So through the application process, you'll need to complete 5 sections in total. This includes the narrative, the logical framework, safeguards, which is the safeguards related to the ESME's questionnaire, budget, and checklist for submission. And just make sure to fill out each section completely and ensure your application is complete. And now we will go through all of these modules one by one, so that you are prepared to submit your proposal. So first of all, let's go to the narrative. So in the narrative module of the platform, you will see 3 sections, similar to the ones you completed in the concept note phase. But during this phase, you need to provide much more details. In the lead partner section, you'll need to fill in details about the lead partner, including contact information, key project staff, and the authorized signatory for the grant agreement, all crucial for the project success and the bureaucracy. There's also a section for other partner information, which focuses on the involvement of partners in the project and requires providing their names. And finally, the project overview, that is a summary and where you outline the project title, the duration, the project funds, the co-funding, and your territory, etc. It is very similar to the section you completed during the concept note phase. So this is a very summarized section. Okay, so let's break it down into the project description section. First up, you've got identification of stakeholders and beneficiaries. Sorry, Bea, there's someone getting into the meeting, if you can accept.
Yes.
So first, you've got identification of stakeholders and beneficiaries. So it is very important to bring everyone on board and make sure they understand their roles and why they are important to the project. And of course, that this is clear in your writing. So stakeholders, what are their roles, what they can bring to the project. Next, you have the rationale for conservation concerns within the socioeconomic context. This is where you explain why it's so vital to address conservation issues in the socioeconomic context of your region. Here, I want to say that remember that we've got some great resources like Panorama Solutions Knowledge Bank to help you with this. Then we move on to details on target species and habitats. You need to get specific about which species and habitats you're focusing on in your project. And after that, it's time to create a detailed project timeline. You've got a template on the project website to help you organize everything and keep on track. It's an Excel template that is in the section of the guidelines for applicant, in the same section as the guidelines for applicants in the BestLife2030 website. So you've got the template and we'll help you organize everything. So then you also need to define the overall objective of your project. What's the big goal we're aiming to achieve the objectives of your project? And please bear in mind, this is very important. Don't forget about the regional relevance. Okay, you need to consider the bigger picture and how our project and how your project fits into the ecosystem profiles. Best has their own ecosystem profile, and we have put a link to the Macaronesian regional ecosystem profile at the end of the presentation. You can check that, and it's a report about the ecosystem situation of the different regions of the program. And we really invite you to take a look at this document and prepare your project synchronized with this context. Then you need to outline your approach and activities, who's doing what and how are we going to get it done. Of course, you need to think about assumptions and risks. What are the potential challenges you might face and how you can mitigate them. And finally, regarding the risk, it's essential to have an exit strategy for sustaining project results. So you need to make sure that the efforts you make in the project have like a lasting impact even after the project is completed. So it's important, very important to think about the sustainability of your actions. And apart from that, last but not least, you've got to have a solid communication plan. You need to make sure you're spreading the word effectively about your project and results. And of course, keep all these elements in mind as you work on crafting your project description. Once again, as you can see here, the detail of information that you need in this final phase is much more accurate than the concept note. Here a bit of some tips regarding communication plan. So let's talk about communication within the project description section. The communication plan is crucial part of your project description. Together with IUC, and it was decided that if it suits you better, even if you mention it in your work plan, you can upload a separate file for the communication plan or PowerPoint presentation. When putting together your communication plan, make sure you're answering the following questions. Firstly, what's the project all about and what you're ultimately trying to achieve? These are your ultimate goals, and it's essential to convey them clearly. Next, what are your communication objectives? What do you hope to accomplish through your communication efforts? Then consider your key messages. What are the main points you want to get across to your audience? Who exactly are you trying to reach out with your communications? These are your target audiences, and understanding them is crucial for effective communication. So identify clearly what is your target population regarding your communication actions. What communication channels will you use to reach your audience? Think about social media, newsletters, etc. How often will you communicate on each channel? Consistency is key here, so establish a clear schedule on the frequency of your communications. What about visual identity? How will you present yourself visually to ensure consistency and recognition? Think about creating a logo of your project, etc. And of course, do not forget about the budget. What resources do you have available for your communication efforts? Finally, what are your key performance indicators you will need to measure to have success in your communication plan? And yeah, keeping these questions in mind will help you develop a robust communication plan that effectively supports your project goals. So this is very important. And again, I remind you that you can create a separate document and upload it into the platform. So next, the logical framework. This is a very important part of your final phase, okay? I don't know if you already read about it, but all projects funded by the BestLife2030 are required to include a logical framework, which is submitted during this final phase. This framework outlines the project's overreaching objectives, purpose, intended outcomes, and planned activities. It also specifies the indicators that will be, that this will be added in the monitoring plan, but it helps to specify the indicators that will be used to track the project progress. It also serves as the foundation for monitoring your project performance through its execution and for evaluating its impact during the whole project life. Applicants are expected to incorporate relevant indicators in their monitoring plan and to facilitate the assessment of your project. Now, I don't know if you know what a logical framework is, but it's actually a structured tool to design and evaluate projects. And we are going to get deeply in this structure created by BEST, so you can have a clear structure of your specific objectives, results, and activities during your preparation of your proposal. As it says in the slide, it's a tool for monitoring and evaluating performance, and it is composed of three main columns, which are specific objectives. They need to be clear, measurable goals that the project aims to achieve within a defined time frame. These are connected to specific results, so they outline the desired project outcomes, and these results are achieved through specific activities, which are specific actions that the project will need to take into account to achieve the objectives and the results. We are going to make thanks, Erwin. I know you are over there, so thank you very much for the case studies you prepared. So in order to understand how this logical framework works, we are going to get deeply into a case study. This case study, as you can see, this is a full project structure. So we have a main problem identified, which is the endemic bird extinction risk on an island. How we structure our project, our specific objectives, our results and activities, having this big problem in mind. So first of all, we need to get back to the causes that lead to this problem of bird extinction. And if we get back, how the bird extinction exists, is because there is rat predation of birds, bird breeding disturbance, and poaching or hunting, if you prefer. In each of these three causes, these causes are led by other causes, which is the proliferation of rat population in this case. And the proliferation of rat population is caused by a lack of control of rat population, lack of control over the transfer of merchandises to the island. In the case of bird breeding disturbance, this is caused by a risky behavior of visitors. But why there is a risky behavior of visitors? It's because there is a lack of amenities for nesting site protection, and there is a lack of information on bird care best practices. Finally, regarding poaching, why we have the problem of poaching? Because there is a lack of control and a lack of nature guard staff. So this is the first structure that you have to create. So a chain of causes, and we will see in the next parts how this is linked to the logical framework that we expect you to prepare for your project. All these causes create bigger effects, which is the loss of culture and biodiversity, and reduction of tourist attraction and job loss. So how do we link all this together with the logical framework? Sorry, here. So we saw that we have the causes number one, which were rat predation, bird breeding disturbance, and hunting. These three causes need to be reformulated into the specific objectives. So rat predation becomes the specific objective number one, which is suppress predation by rats. Bird breeding disturbance becomes specific objective number two, which is reduce disturbance of birds during breeding. And hunting or poaching becomes specific objective number three, which is restrain unauthorized bird hunting. So now for the bigger problem, which is endemic bird extinction risk on an island, we have three specific objectives: suppress predation by rats, reduce disturbance of birds, and restrain unauthorized bird hunting. Then we had causes number two, which were proliferation of rat population, which led to rat predation, risky behavior of visitors, which led to bird breeding disturbance, and lack of controls, which led to poaching. You need to reformulate these causes number two into your expected results. So proliferation of rat population becomes your first result, which is the rats have permanently disappeared from the island. Your cause number, your second line, risky behavior of visitors, becomes the result number two, which is visit to the island do not impact the birds. And lack of controls become your result number three, which is effective control measures implemented to halt poaching. How do we reach or achieve these results and objectives? We take our causes number three, which were lack of control of rat population, lack of control over the transfer of merchandises, lack of amenities for nesting, lack of information bird care best practices, lack of nature guard staff. All these causes number three have to be reformulated and become your actual concrete activities. So for lack of control of rat population, this becomes implementation of a eradication campaign, which is a concrete action. Lack of control over the transfer of merchandises to the island becomes your activity number two, which is establishment of a phytosanitary control unit and the embarkation quay towards the island. Your cause number three becomes which is lack of amenities for nesting, becomes installation of wooden barriers around nesting sites. Lack of information on bird care best practices becomes production and distribution of a documentary for the passenger boat. And lack of nature guard staff becomes recruitment and deployment of additional rangers. And these are your specific activities to achieve your results and these results make you achieve your specific objectives. At the end, if you work on this kind of structure, you will have a very easy way of implementing your logical framework, and this is how it will be appearing in your platform. Specific objective number 1: suppress predation by rats. The result is the rats have been permanently disappeared. How? By implementing an eradication campaign and establishing a photosanitary control unit and the embarkation key towards the island. So this is a bit of a summary of how the logical framework works. Of course, all this case study that I think is a very helpful tool to structure your logical framework is completely available, and of course will be shared with you after the presentation. So how do you know and show that your results have been achieved? Here we enter a bit in the monitoring aspect. So if you carry out a counting campaign for X months after the eradication campaign, you will know that the rat number is equal to 0, and you know that your result number 1 is achieved. In the second case, if you conduct a survey of visitors, you can know that at least 3 out of 4 visitors know good practice about bird conservation, and you will achieve your result, which you know that you will achieve your result, which is that the visit to the island do not impact the birds. And finally, if you establish visits to the nests, you will know that the nests are not tramped, and you will know through the through the visit and checking out that the nests are not tramped, you will know that your results will be achieved and the effective control measures implemented to halt poaching will be put in place. So linked to the logical framework, you have a monitoring plan where you establish indicators, etc. So this monitoring plan provides a structured framework for tracking and assessing the performance and impacts of your projects within the program. And by implementing the monitoring plan, you can effectively track the progress, assess performance, and make informed decisions to optimize project outcomes and contribute to the overall objectives of the Best Life program. First of all, you will need to select indicators, and these will be linked to the logical framework section, because you must select at least one indicator per specific objective. So in the case of the breeding, for example, of the rat predation, you will have one indicator for suppressed predation by rats, one indicator to reduce disturbance of birds during breeding, and one indicator to restrain unauthorized, to control how you restrain unauthorized bird hunting. So one indicator per specific objective. You also need to fill in the frequency. The frequency will be filled in automatically. This means that you will need to update the progress ahead of each reporting period. So after each reporting period, you will update this frequency, and it will be filled in automatically. And you are invited to insert a baseline value of your indicator if you know it. So if you're using an indicator of a previous project or a plan that is already put in place, and you know the baseline of your indicator and you only need to increase it, just put the baseline. If you don't know that information, you just click not applicable on the box. And of course, finally, you need to insert a target value. In the following slides, we will have an overview of the different indicators that are provided. Sorry, that are provided by the program. even if you can create also your own indicators, but it's compulsory that you choose at least one biodiversity indicator on each of your projects. Okay. So this is how it works in the platform. First of all, you click in the project monitoring plan. You have to click on Add Indicator button, and then number 2, remain the Select Indicator sections. You will have all the lists. Check as many boxes as needed. Minimum 1 indicator per specific objective. And when done, just click the select button. Here you have the list of the different indicators proposed by the Best Life team. There is a lot of indicators proposed, but once again, you'll see in the next slide how to create your own one. And as said in the previous section and in this one, at least one biodiversity indicator is mandatory. So that means that you need to include in your proposal at least one of the best one diversity and the best biodiversity indicators. So these 10 indicators, at least one has to be included in your proposal. Here you have the rest of the indicators. We are not going to go through them in detail because you will have a lot of information today, and you will have the list in your in this presentation when we share it with you. If you want to create a new indicator, for example, if your target habitat is not already listed in the indicators proposed, you don't have to follow the sequence below. You click Add Indicator button and go to the Add Custom Indicator. So here, where you will see 4 fields, the code that is pre-filled, the description. Please follow the same structure as the other indicators. Start with the type of indicator, then add specifics such as biodiversity, area of Gran Canaria habitat where loss of diversity is being halted and reversed, the frequency you choose, reporting period as for the other ones, and in data type you just choose numeric, text, or yes or no as appropriate. Once you click on the add button, your indicator will be included in your list. Project timeline. This is a very easy section of the platform. You simply need to check the boxes corresponding to the periods during which your activities will be implemented. Note that a more detailed timeline is requested in the narrative, but here you just have to click on the boxes corresponding to your activities performance. Okay, we will go to safeguards and the SMEs questionnaire. So applicants are required to complete an ESMEs questionnaire to assess environmental and social risks associated with your project proposals. The ESMEs questionnaire serves as a tool for the regional advisory committee to evaluate the project proposal, focusing on risk identification and propose solution to mitigate environmental and social impacts. The findings from this questionnaire will be shared with the board and with the European Commission to ensure that environmental and social safeguard issues are, when analyzed in your project, are prevented or are mitigated. This will help to integrate environmental and social considerations into your project design. Specific instructions will be provided as appropriate based on on your outcome, and of course, if there are no environmental or social risk identified that would necessitate other ESME standards, applicants can simply mark the section as not applicable to signify that no further action related to ESMEs is required for your project proposal. Finally, we have the checklist and submission section. Please use this section to upload any additional documents you may wish to include in your application. Here you can upload your communication plan. In the previous phase, some partners included a Gantt chart, a detailed Gantt chart with the program of your activities, etc. And you have simply you only need to click on the upload document button, select your file, and just once you've finished, you submit. You click the submit button. You will receive an automatic notification confirming your submission has been validated. And once again, please, once submitted, applications can no longer be modified. And as Beatrice said in the introduction, please, to avoid technical issues and potential complications, do not wait until the last day. And we know this is something that always happened and everything, but we already had a few issues during the concept note phase. So it would be a pity that after working so hard in detailing your proposal, you cannot submit it because you waited until the last day, your server doesn't work, the platform is overwhelmed. So please take your time and don't wait until the last day. The evaluation process is very similar to the one of the concept phase. The same two evaluators will be working on evaluating your proposals again. So they will be already having an idea of the projects, because no new stuff is going to get into this evaluation. And we are not going to get deeply into the grid, but in the guidelines for applicants, and of course in the presentation that will be shared, you have the evaluation grid that the evaluators will be using for your project. The scoring grid consists of 14 questions, and you can have a maximum score of 100, and the threshold this time is 65. Please make sure, as it's said here, it's important, make sure to address all comments received. The evaluators during the concept note phase took their time to make comments on each of your proposals. If you have doubts on the comments regarding the notification letters, please get back to us. But it is very important to take into account all their comments and considerations, okay? Finally, we have prepared a slide with different resources. Here you have the link for the regional ecosystem profiles. We have looked for the specific Macaronesian regional ecosystem profile that we really invite you to read and link it to your project proposal. Here you have the live project database that you can use as also the project previously funded under the BEST initiative, because they can help you to actually create and structure your project and your logical framework. And finally, we also invite you to visit the Panorama Solutions for a Healthy Planet in order to get information on different solutions that you may need in your project and you haven't concreted it in your proposal. So I will give the floor to my colleague Beatrice, that will give you the last tips of this technical presentation. Once again, we are sorry, we know there is a lot of information, but once again, the video will be shared with you and the presentations and everything, and I am completely available for any questions you have. So thank you very much for listening. Bea, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Lucia. Thank you. Yeah, we wanted to conclude this technical presentation with some tips. This is really emerging from the experience we gather from the first concept note phase from our side and from Lucia's side, and also checking all of your evaluation results. So we just wanted to really reiterate some point that, well, actually Lucia already mentioned. The first one, and I think it was the most common one across all proposals that we received, really make sure that your project presents and foresees specific conservation actions with measurable and tangible conservation impacts in terms of species or habitat conservation. And this has been a frequent comment from our evaluators. So even if you have also experience with the Life for Best project, this new program really moves a bit ahead. It's important to use the logical framework tool and also the example that Lucia presented that will be in the presentation to try to foresee very specific and tangible conservation actions. This is the most important point, and especially if the evaluators have mentioned this in your evaluation result. Then second point is really to have a robust communication plan in place, and remember to foresee communication and dissemination activities within your own work plan. And we will see also to foresee some cost in the budget for that. Also, I think it's important, and what would make also a part of the difference is to have a plan for replication and scalability, to really showcase evaluators that the outcomes that you achieve can be replicated or can be sustained in certain ways in the longer term. This can be also replicated in other islands or regions which might share similar challenges. And I know that some of you had these comments in the evaluation report. Also plan and provide a comprehensive risk analysis. So really try to think of actual risks apart from the management part, but not underestimate this section to have a strong preventive and mitigation measures framework in place. Identify all the pertinent stakeholders in your region or even outside as a way to scale up the activities. And our personal recommendation, and in some letters is mentioned, really try to attach some kind of proof of commitment or letter of support from relevant stakeholders. Especially, it really makes sense because if you are in your application, you are stating or you are claiming that maybe regional agencies or regional relevant authorities might be willing to update or to change even some biodiversity conservation strategies or to amend the current conservation legislation. This is, of course, a big impact and a very relevant one that is evaluated positively, but also you need to showcase that the engagement is there. It's not just a promise. So I think it's a letter of support would be really beneficial and create added value. So that were our tips overall in terms of the technical part. And now I think I can move to my financial part. Yes, Alessandro.
Thank you, Beatrice. And hi, everyone. Good to see some of you former Life for Best grantees. It's great you're back with Best. Just a couple of small notes because we changed the portal a lot, and there were some very new buttons added. So the communication plan, if you want to add it, you have a button for that in the narrative section. So you don't need to wait until the very end. And also there's a new button for the Gantt chart. We put in the Excel templates on the website, and you will also get it from our colleagues. But just so you know, there are now dedicated buttons where you can upload those two files. That's it.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, and
just so you know, Alex is one of the masterminds of the Best Life program. So
good to have him today together with the team. Okay, so perfect. You will have these two different buttons, and also I think it's important to to attach the Gantt chart, because it showcases that you have a very, comprehensive overview of the planning of what you want to achieve, of your activities, apart from the ticks on the portal, as well as the communication plan. I think it would be really an added value. Okay, so let me share my my screen. I hope you can see it. Let me close this. Okay. Okay. Let's go. This part is also going to take also more or less 40 minutes. I will try to be as fast and as clear as possible. And then if you have any questions, because I know finances might be more complicated, you can leave your comment or your question in the chat. And of course, we will answer, and we will include this in the frequently asked question to be published on the website. Regarding the finance part, what we address today. First of all, a very short introduction, reminding you about the mainstream general eligibility cost criteria that were also presented in the concept note phase. Then we will see step by step how to prepare the budget with many details on each cost category. We have 4 cost categories. Then we will mention also risk assessment that will be performed by the coordinator in case the project is approved, and the supporting documents that might be requested during the budget, during the project negotiation phases, and also for the reporting phase once it is implemented. And we will conclude on some tips and guidance on finances in this case. So the next 2 slides are very, again, general reminders. We presented this already in the previous info session, so it's just I'm going to be, quicker, but it's just to remind you that, of course, as any European project, also for BestLife, costs are eligible when are incurred during the duration of the project. You will have a specific start and end dates, even in the signed grant agreement, if the project is approved. Costs are, of course, eligible if there is an associated budget line foreseen in the approved budget of the project. These costs also, they need to make sense in this. They need to be connected and relevant for the implementation of the project and the activities you are describing in the more technical and narrative part. They must be also justified and consistency with the principle of sound financial management, and they must be easy to identify, meaning that they must be recorded in your accounts, and also they must be compliant with the national and applicable legal requirements and legislation, especially when it comes to personnel costs, so the labor and social security requirements. Here we have re-included again the list of costs that are definitely not eligible. So don't foresee such costs in your budgets. I'm not going to go through the entire list again, but I just wanted to again remind that currency exchange losses are not applicable. And especially, this is, I think, the most important one, bank costs that might be charged by your bank for the transfer, so from receiving the money from the granting authority, from UCN. These are not eligible on the project. And remember, and take into account that the bank account through which you will receive the grant is based in Brussels. So maybe you might need to negotiate something with the bank not to be charged, because you can't report this cost on the project. And finally, I think it's important to mention deductible or refundable VAT or IHIC is not eligible. So just keep this in mind. Regarding the budget preparation of the full proposal, now we enter into more details. I think that as a first overview, the first important thing to mention is that we have one single budget. So remember that we have one full budget that you have presented already in the concept note phase, and out of this 100%, 90% will be financed by CINEA, by the European Commission, with the public funding, and then there is this 5% of co-financing that you need to ensure. So these are not two separate budgets, but it's part of the same budget, 100%, and 5% it's up to you as contribution, and it's good to remember that the volunteering cost can be considered as own resources to define co-financing. So then we said that we have this 100% budget. This budget needs to be prepared on the grants portal. So you can work from there once you will have access, and you will be able to define the project duration. You did it already for the concept note, but have a look as well. The maximum duration is 36 months without the possibility of any kind of extension. So keep this in mind also for this proposal preparation. And within the budget, you will have different cost categories. So the first one, really major one, I would say, most important, is a staff cost to be able to implement the activities that you propose in the narrative part. In this case, and I'm going to explain it later, you will have two options. So you can either select and decide to report and justify your staff costs through real, actual incurred cost, or you can choose the simplified cost option, SCO, which is the recommended approach. And then I'm going to enter into more details. The second cost category is travel, accommodation, subsistence, and fuel cost. And in this case, some part of the cost will be actual cost, so what you spend, for instance, to take a flight to go from Madeira to Canary Islands, and some other costs we will see that fall compulsory under the simplified cost option approach, and this is applicable for the per diems, so this subsistence part, and if you need to sustain a cost of local transportation with your own car or own vehicle, or a rented car as well. And then we will have finally other cost categories. These include equipment, then other services or goods, including as well subcontracting. And finally, remember that there is the up to 7% indirect cost based on the total direct cost. Now we will see it step by step. So before starting to tackle the staff cost, so the cost categories one by one, we have just included 2 slides on just to recap on the co-funding. So we said that 95% is going to be financed by the public funding from Europe, and the 5% is up to as a co-funding. And one of the you could look for private funds, external funds to support this co-funding, or another option is is volunteering work, basically. So volunteers means persons working for your organization on a non-compulsory basis and without being paid. However, their work must be declared as a unit cost. So the unit cost and how to calculate it is provided by this formula. You will have to use a daily rate, which is fixed depending on the country region. So for Macaronesia, all Azores, Madeira, and Canary Islands, it's gonna be this rate 78 euros. It's fixed. And you will need to multiply this rate per the days that this volunteering person has worked on the action. Always remembering that a person, now it's a common rule under all European projects, one person can work full-time on maximum 215 days per year. This is the maximum. So we can address a very easy and simple example, so you can understand maybe better. Let's imagine we have a 24-month project, so 2 years, and we have one volunteer working full-time for 3 months in our region, in our Macaronesian region. So we will use, of course, the 78 euros daily rate, and to understand how many days this person has worked, meaning the 3 months, we will use this formula. So we need to take the 215 maximum days per year divided by 12, because 12 is 12 years within the year, the 12 months within the year. And we will need to multiply this amount per 3 months, so the months that this person worked, per 1, and 1 refers to the working factor, meaning the full-time working factor of this employee. Imagine this volunteer. Imagine that this person works half-time. So you see the second example. In the formula for calculating the days will be the same, but here you see a change. So it's not multiplied by 1, which refers full time, but 0.5, because we said that this person is working 50% of his time. Okay. I hope it's clear. So just to wrap up on this, volunteers can be part of the co-founding. You will need to use this fixed daily rate, and you will need to remember to include one budget line per volunteer. Since the portal is still under finalization, you will see that depending on these latest developments, this can be placed either directly on the budget line for co-financing or within the staff cost. So you will be able to see it, and in any case, if you have any doubts, you can reach out to us, and we can check and explain it to you further on. Volunteers will need also to fill out the timesheet, so recording the days that they have worked on the project as the other staff paid by the project. So now we enter into the budget categories. So we start with cost category 1, which is staff cost. I would say that most of the time, mainly it would be employees, and with employees we mean a person working on the project on the basis of an employment contract. In this case, the cost that you will need to consider is not only the gross salary, but there is much more, no? That your institution cover. So it will be the gross salary, all the mandatory employers and employees contributions, basically social security, and any other additional component that you mandatorily need to pay to your employees. For instance, the other payment, like the 13th salary. Let's make an example. So you will need to consider this entire cost, which is not only the gross salary. And then you will need to choose and indicate your preferred option on how to report afterwards these costs of staff. Either simplify the cost option or reimbursement on actual real cost incurred. You remember that in the budget you will have to insert each person within a separate line. So it's very, very clear then for the evaluators and afterwards for the grant agreement preparation. This goes under budget category 1, staff cost. And also remember to specify if the worker is within the applicant or co-applicant staff, if you have a co-applicant in your institution. And of course, you will need also to think of each of these employees, what is their working factor. So do they work half-time? Do they work full-time? So this is a piece of information that you need to know once you prepare the budget. Let's see if we want to calculate and we choose the reimbursement on real cost. So what we need to do. Luckily, in the portal, we will be requested to insert certain inputs, and then the magic is going to happen, and you will get all the inputs that you need. So basically, staff cost, similar as volunteers, will be the calculation of the staff cost will be obtained by multiplying the days worked on the action by this person, remembering that 215 days maximum per calendar year, per their daily rate. So this operation will make and will give you all the staff costs incurred during the project. In the budget online, you will see this sort of table that you see here also on the slide, and you need to have the data for the columns just for the columns in red, and then automatically what is in black, let's say, will be automatically calculated. So the daily rate will be calculated. So you will need to know the number of months that the person is employed during will be employed during the project implementation, their working time factor, as I was mentioning before, 1 full-time, 0.5 half-time, etc., and the actual personnel cost. So the cost, not only the gross salary, but the entire cost of your personnel during the duration of the project. So based on these inputs, you will get the rest. There might be the case that apart from employees, some of your institutions have the case of SME owners. I think this will be a very restricted and very special cases. We have 2 slides on this, but my suggestion is that if you have such a case, please simply get back to us, and we can check. We can check. What you need to remember is that you will need to use a fixed daily rate, which is calculated through a fixed formula that is given by the European Commission rules. So you see it here. So this would be the daily rate, which should be a little bit changed because it should be corrected with a specific coefficient depending on the country. And in this case, it's different, Spain compared to Portugal. So you will see the coefficient, the corrections is here for Spain and here for Portugal. And usually SME owners without a salary, we mean owners of small and medium enterprises that do not get a salary. So they are not employed by the company, but they do own the SME. So if this is your case, just let us know, and let us know if you have any specific questions on that. Now we presented the simplified cost option for staff cost. This option was really successfully, I would say, implemented in Life for Best projects. So we know some of you already worked on previous projects, and they did use this approach. And honestly, it's the most recommended one. Of course, it's up to you. This will not impact the evaluation, absolutely, but it's what we recommend. And with this option, we intend that the rates for the staff that you will involve in the project will be established already at full proposal stage. They will be validated during the grant agreement negotiation and the signature of the agreement, and then they cannot be changed afterwards. So, of course, as anything in life, we have pros and cons. The pros, honestly, are that this approach really reduces the workload at the reporting stage, and also in case of an audit. And also, I think, and this is very important, it reduces the risk of ineligibility in case, I don't know, you mess up with the calculation of the daily rate, of the total personnel cost. So it's something that is fixed, has been checked before your project starts, and that's it. So it's a safer, let's say, option in certain ways. disadvantages that anyway we should also mention, because they are still relevant in any case, it's that it increases the workload in this phase. So when you are building your full proposal stage, because you need to think carefully about the unit cost that you want to put forward, because then it's going to be validated by and checked by the coordinator. And of course, you assume also a certain risk, let's say, the risk of loss in case this employee cost increases or changes during the implementation of the project, and you couldn't predict at this stage. What are the requirements? So if you select this option, remember that there will be an in-depth verification of the data, so basically of the unit cost that you present, and the coordinator will assess and approve this. Once it's approved, this value cannot be changed in any case, so it will be the same for the entire duration of the project. And once you get to the full proposal budget negotiations, if the project passes this phase, you will be requested certain documents, the contract, basically, the job description, and a couple of recent pay slip. And this, of course, is to ensure that the unit cost that you have provided is not very different to reality. And in case of audit, I think it's important to mention that the cost report and using this system can be checked by the auditors only in terms of the number of units, correct application of the methodology, and the work performed, so the outputs. So they are not going to dig in many details, which is an advantage and a security, I would say, also for your organizations. And the documents that will need to be provided at the reporting stage to us and to the coordinator would be only the timesheet and the evidence of the work done. And the evidence is basically the technical reporting that you will be asked to showcase. How to calculate this cost? Again, good news, you will have this sort of automatic table, and you see here what is in blue. It's the input that you will need to give to the table, and the numbers in black will be automatically calculated. So you will need to know who is going to be the role, the figure, and the employee position, the number of months of the person, the number of months the person is employed during the project implementation, their working time factor, so really the same as we said before. And in this case, you will need to insert the gross salary for the entire project of this person, social charges, and other costs sustained by the employer. And you will get the unit cost here, which will be used for the entire project. A short example. So let's imagine that in the approved budget that you submit, and the project is approved, you foresee a park ranger assistant working 200 days at a value of 105 euros. So you see here, this is the total cost. Eventually, at the end of the project, we imagine that the timesheet and the real work of this park ranger assistant was only 50 days, because he or she could get everything done within 50 days instead of 200 days. So, of course, in this case, you will need to report the actual days worked. We need to stick to the timesheet, but the unit price will be, of course, the same from the approved budget. These cannot be changed. Imagine that if the unit cost eventually is found to be higher than the agreed rate, still you are obliged to use the fixed rate and absorb the loss, and but I would say also the vice versa. So you can see here the other case. If eventually the daily cost is a bit less, 101 euros, you will still need to use the agreed rate, 105 euros. Okay, so the cost category 1 is completed. If you have any questions, you can leave those in the chat. I hope to have explained it quite well. Now we go to cost category 2, which I would say is also, I mean, it's a bit of attention as well, because in this case we have a mix of actual cost and simplified cost option approaches. So what we mean with cost category 2, we mean travel, accommodation, subsistence, and fuel. So travel is very easy. Travel is flights, train, ferry, to move from one island to the other, for instance. And this is reported on the basis of the actual cost incurred, so what you have paid for that flight, and in line with your beneficiary usual practices on travel. Accommodation is almost the same, so it could be on the basis of actual cost normally, and in line with the beneficiary usual practices on travel and within the maximum EU rates, but they can also, it might also be combined with the budget line for subsistence and reported as SCO. SCO is compulsory in any case for subsistence and fuel, so local transportation. Subsistence on one side, we mean really the per diems. So, and this must be in line either with your usual practices on travel or official rates like La Dietas from BOE. That are published, for instance, for public bodies in Canary Islands and Spain overall. And they shall be within the maximum EU rates. What we recommend is to draft a per diem policy, in your case, in your institution, if you don't have it, so you have also an institutional document in place for that. It's similar for the fuel cost, for traveling by own or rental car, boat, other vehicle that you might need. So, and this is on the base of the kilometers traveled in line with your usual practices or official rates, again, like BOE gastos de locomoción. And in this case, they will ask for the reporting for the mileage logbook and the reports of the activities that have been conducted on the field. And there is no need to provide anything from like a petrol station, for instance. There is one exception. So if you travel by rental vehicle and the contract includes the fuel already there, so this cannot be declared under this cost category, but goes under cost category 3, which is equipment and renting, and we will see it in a minute. So here we have a few examples. So for subsistence, first of all, sorry, let me put this here. Subsistence. So subsistence, imagine, I'm gonna be short, imagine that we need to go to have an activity of a travel of 2 days. So the activity report or the presence list pictures as well shows 2 days effectively spent on the field or traveling. So the costs that are calculated will be the cost of subsistence. For instance, this is a published rate per the number of meals, and remember that the number of meals per day is maximum 2. We cannot have more than 2 meals per, in this case, 2 days. So this is gonna be the total for the subsistence for this trip, for instance. And what we need to put in the budget, in the column justification, you will need to describe, of course, the need for the subsistence, because you need to travel and the connection with the activity you present in a narrative part, specify the location, periods, and the number of planned DMs, and specify the rates. So if you consider officially published rates or your institutional policy. This is why we were saying it's good to have an institutional policy if you don't want to use the official national or regional rates. And the documentation that will be asked to you will be either the published rate or the institutional policy or any kind of historical data for instance, financial reports for past projects, if you have any other similar projects, even like for Best, but I think other also past projects that could have the same approach. Okay. Regarding fuel, the example is this one. I think then you can read it carefully. Again, you should decide if you use published official rates for the price, for the unit cost, or institutional policies and regulation. So imagine that is 0.6 euros per kilometer, and the logbook showcase 1,150 kilometers. You will need to multiply the two to get the total cost for fuel. And the logbook indeed is gonna be one of the supporting documents that will be asked for the reporting. Then we go to cost category 3, which is equipment and supplies for the project. So renting of cars, boats, purchase of some kind of supplies that you might need, or equipment that you might need for your activities. This will be declared as actual cost. So very simple, the cost that for these goods or equipment. And here you see some examples of budget line. Could be rent of vehicles, so number of days, for which activities, computer equipment. Bear in mind that if you buy a computer, buy it at the very start of the project, because otherwise it doesn't make sense. If you buy it a few months before the project ends, you will be probably requested to declare a pro rata, so of the cost incurred, because then it will be only few months. And please fill in as much as details as possible in the justification column of the budget, because then I think it's even, it's a bit of more of course, work now, but it solves many further questions during the grant agreement preparation. And also it really provides an added value, in my point of view, to the evaluators, because it's very clear. So the impression is that you have a very clear idea of the activities and the budget and the justification of this budget that you need. And finally, we get to cost category 4, the last one, other costs and services, including subcontracting. Examples: training cost, publications, studies, cost of translations, conferences, seminars. Very important, visibility, actions, and communication cost. Please include one budget line per service contract, and it's recommended to reach a very maximum of 30% of the total budget out of these other costs and services, because remember that core activities can't really be externalized in order to prove your operational capacity. Important, again, visibility actions. So you will remember to include a budget line on this and link it to your communication plan. Subcontracting, very quickly, if you need some kind of subcontracting, these costs are eligible based on actually incurred cost as well. And ensure a best value for money and no conflict of interest, and make sure that they comply with national laws on public procurement. Overall, we included this approach. So purchases that are less than 5,000 euros could be made even through a single sourcing, but still you should be able to do some and to showcase some kind of research in order to ensure the best value for money and no conflict of interest. If it's higher, up to 25,000 euros, there should be written quotations, and if there is a service, you should also have a contract, no? A written document that includes the fixed outputs and the specific payment terms, which is well, quite standard, but it's really recommended. And behind this threshold, a competitive procedure is needed. And finally, indirect costs. Don't forget about indirect costs. They are eligible. They must not exceed 7% of the estimated total eligible direct cost, and it's a flat rate. So it will be automatically given to you in the sense that afterwards in the reporting you will not be requested any supporting documents. They might ask during the grant agreement preparation about the selection of this percentage, but afterwards these costs are really a flat rate to help you with all these costs, like office rental, supplies, like electricity, water, office supplies, internet costs that are necessary for the implementation of the project, but also they are not very easy, no, divisible between all the projects the organization is managing. So it's a flat rate to help you with that. An important office rental, it's covered within this flat rate, so don't include it in another cost category because it will not be eligible. Important, very important is one of the last slides, cash flow and project duration. So we said the project duration up to 36 months, including any possible extensions. Depending the duration, your reporting periods might be different, but they can't go over more than one year. You will have 1 month to prepare the interim, let's say, reports, and then 2 months to prepare, of course, the final report, because it's going to be a bit bigger to include all the activities and results and costs achieved. And this is also connected with the cash flow. So in the budget, in the full proposal online, you will need to include how many, let's say, the amount that you would like to receive for the first advance payment after the contract signature. It's not recommended to go up to 50% of the total budget. We always talk about total budget, so the 100%, including the co-funding. So keep it within 50%. And think about it based on the duration. So fill in this budget request, thinking about the cost, the funding that you will need to have for the first 9 months of the project implementation. Then after each interim report, of course, you will have the option to request advance payments based on your estimations for the next period, up to 90% of the total eligible cost, because the last 10% will be only reimbursed after the project is closed and the costs are all validated, and also the final report and so on. So this is something that you need to pay attention to, and the budget will look like this. So once you will access, you will be able to go through it and through the different cost categories, and you can add lines as we were saying. Then risk assessment and due diligence. So remember that if the project is passes the evaluation phase, UCN will perform a risk assessment. This is done based on the self-assessment provided to applicants, and also the documents provided. The final score it will be accompanied by a recommendation to the Best Life team. This is not an exclusion criterion, of course. High scores, so higher risk, will lead to implement some mitigation measures. For instance, I would say especially closer monitoring from us, from the regional hubs and the UCN coordinator itself. Some of you have been also requested to, in the notification letters, to provide missing documents. Remember that these documents are compulsory to provide, and the grant agreement won't be signed without them. If they are not available, a justification should be provided, and yeah, the coordination side will decide case by case. And finally, I think it's good to recap on the famous simplified cost option and reporting phases. So what are the supporting documents if you choose this option for your staff cost? So during the grant agreement negotiation, you will need to provide the contract and a couple of, the job function description and a couple of pay slips for the employees that you declared. In the reporting phase, you will be only asked the timesheets and proof of payment, so the proof you pay the employee every month. If this is a new position, if you imagine a new position within the organization, you can provide like documents of similar positions, but this can be then discussed directly if there is a specific case. So this is the option if you choose SCO for staff cost. Then we said that SCO for travel cost is mandatory. This is not cannot be chosen. It applies to all projects, all applicants. Sorry. And in this case, you will be asked the logbook for the vehicle used to justify the kilometers and the report of activities. And for the other cost, remember like invoices, proof of payments, quotes, and if this is necessary, consultancy contracts if it is a service or a subcontracting. So just to wrap up, what's the point for you as applicant to choose or co-applicant to choose the SCO instead of real cost? We said it. We said already. It's more work maybe now, but then it's less work and less effort on the reporting. The rate, the unit cost per person is agreed upfront. That does not need to be justified at every reporting cycle, which might be really quite tricky. And however, at the reporting stage, remember we said it just in the slide before. You will need to provide the timesheets and the proof of payments. The budget will be, of course, in Europe, the reporting as well. If you needed to convert some cost in certain currency, you can use this link to the official website of the European Commission, and you can let us know and we can support. And of course, this is important. Once the full proposals are selected and the grant contracts are signed, don't worry, there will be a further financial info session on reporting specifically to be prepared. So really now try to understand how to build your budget, and then we will focus on the reporting part. Last tips, and then I'm gonna finish because I know it's late. This first point has been included in all notification letters. So please make sure that you start the project on the first date of the month, because then it's way easier at the reporting stage, and you avoid like timesheets covering 2 reporting periods, because it complicates a bit the work from your side. So I strongly recommend that you follow these recommendations. So first date of 1 month of the month. Of course, think carefully about your activities and which kind of budget and cost you need to have. Be coherent between the tools, and think carefully also about the number and the amount of days to be worked by your staff member. For each of them, timesheets will be required. And I think, yeah, this is also a good point I was mentioning before. You might want to negotiate then with your bank the charges for receiving international European transfers, because bank charges are not eligible, we said. You will need to keep all the documents for 5 years, and don't hesitate, of course, to contact us and to leave any questions that will be compiled in the frequently asked question together with all the other regions. And finally, I just wanted also to add a few points more. So external parties cannot be included in staff costs. Remember this, and I think really assess how much you need these external parties, because staff costs really should be the core. So to prove your operational capacity to be able to execute the activities, of course, the providers are essential for certain equipment, supplies, or services, but they should not be really represented a bigger portion of your budget. And we said maximum 30% for other costs and goods. Foresee a budget line for communication and visibility action. Please don't forget this point. It's very important because we need to communicate to the audience, the external audience, about our project and our results. And you have to declare and report the total budget, including the 5% of financing, and think carefully about the cash flow for the first 9 months. And this is, I think, it's important. And the last 2 points, very, very important. So first, you can increase your requested grant amount presented in the concept note phase. So now you can increase it up to 25% from the concept note. Again, requested grant amount, 25%, sorry. And during the implementation of the project, remember, this was also applicable for Life for Best, you can have some kind of flexibility. So a maximum of 25% again of each cost category can be moved between one and another without an amendment. Of course, you will need to provide some degree of justification of why this changed, but there is a flexibility, so it's not really written in stone. What is written in stone is the unit cost if you select the simplified cost option for your staff cost. This really can't be changed absolutely. So that's it. I hope you survived this long presentation. I'm gonna stop sharing the screen and check the chat. We will provide all the materials afterwards, so the recording, the two presentations, and also check the website, the Best Life website, because there you have also a repository with all useful and relevant documentation, like the Gantt chart as well, and so on. I don't know if you have any big major questions, or that we can quickly address. If not, we will follow up possibly next week, because we need first of all to upload this recording on our YouTube channel, and we will send everything to you by early next week. Okay. So, well, I think that if there is no questions,
one question.
Yes.
Hi. In this phase, we can present more contributors. We were not included in the note in the previous phase.
Contributors, you mean? Sorry?
Partners.
No. The partners would be the same. So you if you had like a applicant and co-applicant, these organizations will be the same. What you can add, of course, is stakeholders, so letter of support, endorsement, and any kind of interest party, and a more in-depth analysis of these stakeholders that will be somehow impacted or will impact your project.
Okay, thanks.
Another question. Here you probably, the answer is clear, but here you say we can increase to a maximum of 25%, but within the limit established of 100,000 euros or beyond that limit. In the summary.
Yeah. No, within the limit. Within the limit, in case you had, you had requested.
You're below.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see also Noelia. Yes, Noelia. Yeah.
Okay. Another question regarding the boat fuel and things. You mentioned mileage as a measure, but usually we actually measuring time in hours of travel rather than mileage. Is that possible to be calculated as such?
Okay. I think we can. I think this is a good question we can collect for the frequently asked questions and provide a written answer to you. Noelia, I see your microphone.
Yeah, I am here. Thank you. Yes, I think the best way is to do this so we can collect all the questions, but to answer now, yes, this idea of reporting per hours in case of the travel could be explored. So we've never used this before, but can be a possibility. So yeah, I suggest to collect all the questions and we can answer in writing. Thank you.
Okay. Because mileage makes sense on land. At sea, it's more complicated. Of course, we have GPS, but then we go fast, we go slow, and everything tends to be reported on hours.
Yeah, it makes,
with averages.
Yeah, it makes all sense. Yeah.
Yeah, we will pass these questions and you will get the final answer, because also so it will be applicable to all regions, our regions involved.
Okay,
but
thank
good
you very
question.
much.
Thanks. I think it was a good point. Okay, so yes, 1 second. Yes, Alejandro, indeed, you can bring, of course, new parties as subcontractors or external providers. That indeed. I think you were referring really to co-applicants, but yeah, of course, external parties like for studies, for some kind of subcontracting that you might need. Of course, this is going to be in the budget, and remember to include one line per this cost, so it's very visible and understandable.
Okay, thanks.
Bea, you have another question on finance by Sergio. Our project will use own vehicles in Madeira, but rentals on Canary Islands and Azores. How we should proceed in terms of cost categories, separate categories, one as a local travel and other as equipment.
Yeah, I would, thanks Noelia. Yeah, different budget line per each, but it's still exactly. Own vehicles, you can report the cost of the, well, let's say the petrol, the fuel, and then if it's you need to rent, it's the other cost category in the equipment, exactly.
Of course, once again, if you realize in a few hours or tomorrow that you have other questions, be completely welcome to send us an email. As you know, Bea and I are following the email, so anything you ask, we will gather it, and as we said at the beginning of the presentation, and Alex confirmed, we are creating a big document with all your questions.
And
we know you will, Sergio.
Thank you, thank you. And don't forget to revise the evaluation letter and to address all points. As Lucia said, if you have any doubts on these comments, let us know, and we can also clarify and support. And yeah, I think we have, 2 months, more or less, to prepare. We were thinking maybe to regather again all together towards May, just to have a quick updates on your progress, and if you have any big issues, and we will let you know. And of course, feel free to email us because we are there for support.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much.